Welcome. You're listening because, well, you want to get straight to the core of complex ideas, right? Understand things quickly without all the extra fluff.
Exactly. Less noise, more signal.
So today we're doing a deep dive into complexity theory. We're
Right.
working from a source text just called complexity.txt.
And it's interesting. Complexity theory isn't like one single grand theory. It's more a collection of tools, frameworks, maybe.
Frameworks, yeah, that sounds right. For looking at complex systems in all sorts of areas.
Everything from ecosystems, economics, social behavior. It's really diverse.
And the text points out something pretty fundamental straight away. It says, complexity has proven to be a fundamental feature of our universe that is not amenable to our traditional methods of modern science. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It highlights a core challenge, Traditional science often works by breaking things down, isolating parts.
Right, reductionism.
Exactly. But with complex systems, the interactions between the parts are often where the really interesting stuff happens. You lose that when you only look at the pieces separately.
Okay, so you can't just understand the individual bird to predict the whole flock's movement, for example.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. Simple rules for each bird, but the collective pattern is, well, complex, emergent.
Emergent, okay. And the text says that even though people study complexity in all these different fields, some common ideas have sort of surfaced over the last few decades.
Yes, definitely. There's this growing sense of let's call it a generic framework. Common principles keep showing up.
Like what? What are these recurring themes?
Well, things like interconnectedness, how everything is linked. Feedback loops are huge, where the output of something circles back to influence its input.
Right, feedback.
And that idea of emergence we just mentioned, the whole system having properties its individual parts don't. The whole being more than the sum of its parts, essentially.
Got it. Now, the text flags one theme as being particularly major, universally present. That's nonlinear systems and chaos theory.
Ah, yes. Nonlinearity. That's absolutely central.
Nonlinear can sound a bit intimidating. What's the basic idea there?
Well, think about linear first. In a linear system, things are proportional. You double the input, you double the output. Simple relationship.
Okay, predictable.
Right. But nonlinear systems, they don't behave like that. A very small change in the starting conditions. It can lead to dramatically different outcomes later on. Huge effects from tiny causes.
So that's the butterfly effect concept.
Yeah.
A butterfly flaps its wings.
Precisely. That's the classic popular example of sensitivity to initial conditions in a nonlinear system. Chaos theory explores that kind of behavior.
And the text gives concrete examples, right?
Yeah.
It mentions studying weather.
Weather patterns, classic nonlinear system. Forecasting is hard for a reason.
And fluid dynamics.
Yep, the way liquids and gases flow. Think of smoke swirling or water in a turbulent river. Tiny disturbances can completely change the flow pattern downstream. Very nonlinear.
So just to recap our mission for this deep dive,
Mm.
we want to really pull out these core concepts from the source. Understand complexity theory as this broad approach for systems traditional science struggles with. And get a handle on why nonlinearity is such a fundamental part of it all, showing up in things like weather and fluid flow.
Exactly. And grasping these basics, it gives you a new lens. You start seeing these dynamics potentially playing out everywhere.
Right, seeing the potential for unexpected results, the
Yeah.
interconnectedness. It's not just physics or biology.
Absolutely. It changes how you might think about, say, social networks or market fluctuations or even just organizational dynamics.
Okay, so the big takeaways. Complexity theory helps us tackle intricate systems where interactions rule, and nonlinearity means small inputs can have massive, unpredictable effects, like we see constantly with the weather.
Well put.
Yeah,
And that leaves us with something to think about, perhaps.
go on.
Well, if nonlinearity is so fundamental to these complex systems, where else might it be hiding in plain sight in your daily life? Think beyond the science examples. Could seemingly unpredictable things in, social situations, project outcomes, even personal relationships, could viewing them through this lens offer any new insights?
That's definitely some food for thought, looking for the hidden nonlinearities around us. Interesting.